started today, I am going to be showing you guys how to make a cute little expandable pouch. It has a little wraparound closure and 5 big old pockets on the inside for you to sort craft supplies, coupons, receipts, whatever you need to sort in life. One of my things I am working on doing this year is getting more organized. So I've been finding some fun ways to do that, and this is one of them. So we'll be doing this large size one today, and that's what the kit is for. You can, of course, also do smaller ones. This is one I made for on a 1920s themed Great Gatsby train tomorrow, and that's one I did for that. But you can also do littler ones. The measurements will just be a little different than what we talk about today. All right, so let's get started. So the kit that I created, you'll get to choose your paper, and then it will already come cut to the right size for your envelopes and with all of the score lines on it, as well as the front parts, corners rounded. That way all you have to do is start doing the project when it shows up. It'll also come with 5 envelopes for you to use, as well as 2 brads, and then large and small circles, and the twine for doing it. I have lots of random brads, so it kind of just depends on what type of paper you choose as to which brads and which twine I'll put in there. I'll make sure they match. All right, so we're going to get started. I'm going to move this paper for a minute so we can work on these envelopes first. That way they can dry. So the first thing I'm going to do, you could, of course, just lick the envelopes and seal them. But I hate the way envelope adhesive tastes, so I usually just glue. I just do a little line down. Did I leave my glue open too long earlier? I'm crafting all day for different stuff. Okay, here we go. Alright, so I'm just going to do a line of glue. And if you do just lick them shut, you might want to stick a small bit of glue on either end, because the adhesives don't usually go that far on envelopes. How's everybody doing tonight? I mean, I guess depending on which part of the country you're in, it's debating which day you're going to have the impending doom of the possible may or may not snowstorm. I think ours is supposed to hit us Friday and happen all weekend. But they still can't even figure out if it's happening or if it's going to be rain or if it's going to be snow. Alright, so we've got all 5 envelopes sealed. There's some 18 inches of snow. Oh my goodness. Well, I know I'm not getting that. I'm in Georgia. They're just scared our roads are going to ice over, I'm pretty sure. Alright, so I'm going to let those dry for a little bit while we work on our piece of paper. Alright, so you can do this with either pattern paper that's not directional or with directional paper. Truck driver, it's so bad in Iowa. Oh my goodness. Oh, who's going to win our Gibby? You, Libby. Alright, you, Libby. Would you like the vintage style one that says kiss me, or would you like the dark theme one that says I love you always and forever? The kiss me. Alright, that one will be coming out to you. Alright, so you can use directional paper. You just gotta pay attention. When I was doing this one, I wasn't really paying attention, which isn't that bad because, like, it's not really that directional. It has very light, like, newspaper scraps in the back. So if you do get a paper that is directional, On the front part, it'll be correct, and then on the back side, it'll be upside down, is the way that your kit will come. So I figured I'd do a directional one to show you guys what I mean. All right, so to get started, I'm going to grab my scoring board. Now, if you purchase the kit, you won't have to do all the scoring part and stuff like that, but this is in case you just want to do this with stuff you already have at home. Make enough space for my scoring board. All right, so since this one is directional, this will actually end up being our top, and this part will end up being our bottom. So the front of our pouch will be up correct, and then the back will have stuff upside down. So my scoring lines, I want my top. Oh, I didn't think this part out earlier. So my top goes over here. Okay. So whatever you want to be your top, so this ends up being my top eventually. So it's going to go over here on this side of the scoring board. And for this size envelope that I'm using, which is just your usual mailing envelope, we are going to do the first score line at 4 1/4 inches. And if you're doing this just with any random envelope you have, you'll have to bring the envelope with you to the scoring board to figure out your measurements. This first measurement is a little bit of extra room on both the top and the bottom of the envelope. And then our next one is going to be 4 5/8. And then the next one is 8 7/8. 8 7/8 here. And then after this one, you don't really have to know the measurements, but you're going to make 4 more lines, and you're going to go 1/4 inch. So you're going to go 1/4 inch out and make the first line. And I like to score mine twice. And then another 1/4 inch for the second line. And then another 1/4 inch for the third line. And then another 1/4 inch for the fourth line. So you should end up in total with 5 lines down here. All right. So got everything scored. Get rid of this big old scoring board. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and fold and crease at all of the score lines. Use my little foam folder to get a nice crisp fold on all of them. It's a lot of lines. Last one. is done. Alright, so now it's starting to take shape. That's our shape. Oh, the balloon and the balloon almost match up. That's hilarious. Okay. Alright, so I am going to snip the corners on this flat part that comes over as our front closure. Okay. There it goes. Alright. So the sheets that come in the kits, these corners will already be rounded and it'll already be scored. It won't be folded and creased. It will probably be folded along one of the lines just to be able to fit it in the envelope. But you'll have to fold and crease all of the scored lines. Alright, so we are going to very quickly, I like to de-stress. Let's just use the black because I have it out here. I do like to distress. I feel like it gives it a little bit more attitude. I don't know. Gives it more of a completed look than just leaving it as is. It looks more like a finished project to me. Just because I like distressing everything. So we're just going to do a super fast de-stressing so that it's not something y'all have to watch me do for an eternity. I'm just going to go around and do the edges. And then I'm also going to do the crease lines. So I'm going to pinch my lines and go ahead and just give a swipe to each of these little fold lines. And I'm going to get very inky in the process. I was already pretty inky when I started from stuff I was working on for tomorrow. Trying to get my Great Gatsby junk journal done that I'm trying to finish. I finished a little portfolio and I designed a kit to make one. I'm excited. It turned out really cute. So I like the idea of getting organized, but I also like the way of making organization cute and functional. I don't know if anybody else is that way. Like, I mean, yeah, I could get one of those little plastic little expandable things at the grocery store or whatever, but they're not cute. I wanted cute stuff. Yeah, if you have crafting supplies and you have different themes of stuff, you could make one of these to, you know, the theme of stuff you're trying to sort. And then you would know what was in it without even having to label it because the storage matches the supplies. So now we are distressed. And I'm inky. Alright. So now we're going to go back to our envelopes. So when I was doing mine, I did this on my big chop cutter, but that doesn't fit on camera for me to do that for y'all, and my mini one is too small for this. But I go through and not the sealed side, because this side is more together. You want to just take off the tiniest amount, and I did it with my chop cutter because I'm not always the greatest at cutting a straight line. I will say today has been a lot better hand day than some days, but I'm going to cut them open so they have a nice smooth opening. I'm going to do that to all 5 of these. and hope that I'm getting it the same height. Hi everybody, welcome in. Alright, so now all 5 envelopes have an opening. So we are going to turn them so that the openings on all of these are facing up. I want to make sure they're all the same direction. And we're going to start with one of them. So I use my mat to kind of line me up. It's definitely not something you have to measure, specifically. But I kind of just center mine, like it's about center between all of these, and it helps me find my middle easier. So once you know where your middle is, if it helps you, so we're only going to be putting glue where the opening is. So on the side where the opening is the only end we're putting glue. And you don't want to go right on the edge because you don't want to accidentally glue it shut. So I'm going to put a little line just so I know where my middle is. And I usually go out about 1.5 inches on each side. So I'm just using my mat as a roundabout guide. And then I'm going to do a little squiggle in the middle. Alright, and then I'm going to get my next envelope, make sure it's the same direction. And I'm going to line up from the bottom first, since there's no glue down there. And I'm just going to push that together. And then we're going to repeat. So from our middle, about 1.5 inches out. Nice little rectangle of glue. And we're going to do our next envelope. I don't think I did that one in the middle. It'll be okay. Reline this up. And you're just making sure with each envelope you're getting them nicely lined up on top of each other. And last envelope. Alright. I'll dry for a sec. Open my drink. Forgot to open it. Alright. So now we have our 5 pockets. They're nicely together. So I'm going to let that dry. And we're going to do one other thing to this cover before we attach the envelopes. So for the closure, I'm going to grab, you'll get 2 of these bigger circles with another frilliness around it that coordinate with, that coordinate with it, and then you'll also get 2 small circles as well. Actually, 3 small circles. My bad. And 3 of the little ones. Okay. So 2 of the big circles that are decorative, and then 3 of the little small circles will come in your kits. So 2 of each of these is going to be used to make the closure. I usually just center the circles on a square on my mat, and then I center the little one on top of it. And then if you have an awl, you can use that to punch the hole. If not, a needle or something pokey, even a mechanical pencil works. And you're kind of just going to stab into the middle. And then make sure your finger's not behind there. And stab your little hole. And then you're going to stick a brad. I pulled out brads. Of course, I misplaced them. There they are. And stick a brad through that. And then we're going to do the second one. Let me circle more in the middle. And then stick the brad in that one. So now we have our 2 little closure circles. Oh, I didn't distress my circles. I usually distress the little ones, just so they match. So now we have our little circle closures. So for placement, you are going to put your first one down at the bottom of the front on the big flappy part, and then the other one is going to go in the middle here on the top part. So we will start down here. Actually, might be easier to, I don't know. So I'm going to center this on the lines, and we're going to put it down here so that it's at the bottom. First, I'm just making a hole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, so this is my middle. So I'm going to kind of guesstimate. You want to make sure you leave enough room for your circle to not hang off. Let me just pull up the paper. Alright, so now we have our hole for our first one. And then we'll just split the back cones. Now when we put the envelopes in, this one will be covered, so you don't need to worry about that. And now we're going to do our top one. I'll center this again. So here's our center. And you want to come up enough so that, you know, the circle isn't hanging off. Alright. So now we have the hole for that one. So we'll pop that one in. And then that one apart. Now this one can be seen. That's why you get a extra little circle with the small circles. It's just so it doesn't get caught on anything or snagged on anything when you're putting stuff in and out, or, you know, your own hand. I don't know if y'all are. I'm pretty clumsy. I'm accident prone. So I try not to leave things that would cause me to be more owie. Alright, and then it doesn't work to hold it up on the table, so you kind of got to pick it up to get that to mold around that bread because it's not flat. Give it a little bit of a rub. Alright, and now we have, oh, I had ink on my fingers. It's okay. So now that one is covered, so no stabbies. Alright, so we're going to put the top back at the top of the table. And we're going to start adding this in. So this will go like that. So when we're putting our envelopes in, the openings need to be facing up just like this. So when we actually put it on here, it's going to be, the openings are going to be pointing towards me. You got to make sure you get the openings the right direction or it's kind of pointless. Alright, so I'm going to flip that up for a sec while I put some glue on here. So this is going to be similar to the way we did the envelopes together. I'm going to center this on some lines on my mat so I can easily find my middle. So here's my middle. Now the only difference is instead of just at the top, I'm about 1.5 inches from the middle. We're going to do the top and the bottom. Do that there, and then we're going to estimate. And make sure you don't get the glue in the fold line. Similar to, we don't put that one too close to the top of the page. So now we're going to flip our envelopes back on here so the openings are there. I'll face the openings towards me. And you want to center it on this rectangle. So you want to make sure it's not on that fold line or hanging off the paper. And then you want it centered from left to right as well. Centered all 4 directions. Sorry if my head's in the way. Alright. And then I'm going to give it a good press down. This side will be harder to press down because your brad's in there. Alright. And then we're going to repeat for this portion. So we're going to be putting glue right above this score line and right below that score line. And I'm kind of going to estimate the middle. I'm doing like 1.5 inches out. I think I might have done a little more on one side. We'll go a little further that way. And then the same thing up here. And just try not to get the glue in those fold lines. Alright, so when you go to put the envelopes onto this glue, make sure you're picking it up because you still have your little a little more than 1/4 inch bottom that's in there. And you want the bottom of this envelope to end up right above that second score line. And make sure you're lining up the sides so that those line up really well. And then give it a little rub. All the glue nice and stuck in there. Alright. I'm not going to open it because the glue's not dry yet, but now you have a 5-pocket expendable little pouch, and all we've got to do is put our little closure on there. So I have lots of different colors of twine, so depending on what color paper you get, you'll either get, the natural twine like this stuff, or if I have a cute color that matches it, I'll include a cute color. Alright, so before you try to put on your closure, you're going to want to go around the outside big circle and kind of pry that up a little bit so that it's not flat with the paper on both of them. And as you use it, it'll get better. You're kind of giving it a start. Alright, so if you start at your top one, and you have a big long piece and then a little tail. I'm going to use that little tail to tie a single knot and then a double knot. So a single knot and pull it tight to the brad underneath. And then leave my little tail quite long enough. and then the double knot, and then pull that tight to the brad. And then you can clip off the little part that is flapping out. Oh, come on. All right, so now that is nicely tied to that one, and then all you have to do is figure 8 wrap it, and you've got a closure for your expandable little folder.